Hello, my name is Sasho, and today we're gonna talk about not making any progress on something that you try really hard to get better at. The frustration is huge, isn't it? Because when you try so hard to get better at something, you either really love it or that's really important to you and you think you're gonna get a better life if you really do get better at this thing. But for some reason, you just aren't getting any better, or at least that's what it seems like. Somehow there's always this one person or even multiple people that are getting so much better at this stuff and they don't even seem to put in as much effort as you do, and you're just super frustrated. Now let's get into my personal experience with this. So I am a tennis player and I really love playing tennis. I would play every day if I could. But the thing is, I don't usually get better at all. It usually takes a lot of time or practice. But even after that, I would just get worse immediately. This is a very likely conversation that I have with my coach during any given practice. I really want to get better at my forehand, so can we practice that today? Actually, recently I've noticed that there's a little problem with your forehand backswing as well, so let's definitely work on that today. So I want you to lift your elbow more during your backswing and make the contact more in front of you. The practice is going super well and it seems like I can make really clean contact with the ball. So now the coach says, great, now I want you to hit harder and be more offensive, but with the same swing motion. Oh boy, once I start hitting harder, the ball is just flying all over the place, like I have absolutely no control over it. And when I try to slow it down again, it seems like I just forget about everything my coach just taught me. Actually, to be more accurate, maybe my body did, because I still be doing the exact same thing and then I just miss. By the time I realize it, practice is over and I walk away from the tennis court a worse player than before, because now I can't even hit the ball properly. So that was sad, but it seems like my friends sometimes struggle with this too. I had a pretty good friend back in middle school who was really trying to get better at English because it wasn't his strength. Our English teacher was super good. Like, my English got so much better within the time of one semester. And he even got other tutors outside of school helping him with the subject. He wasn't actually super vocal about it, and we didn't know his struggle because whenever we had free time, we would just be playing basketball all the time. But it became apparent that he wasn't getting super good at the language or even much better at the subject. Because one day during English class, our amazing English teacher just gave this long speech about how he always worked so hard and never got what he deserved. At one point, both our English teacher and himself started to get a little bit emotional, and she mentioned how he was always seeking help and he was always putting in so much effort, and his brain just didn't seem to be cooperating. Well, doesn't that just suck? And this feeling of being stuck in the same place somewhere you don't really want to be doesn't only happen when you're trying to get better at a skill. It also happens when you're trying to get over a thought or trying to do some self-improvement. There was a period where I was just feeling like really sad every second of every single day. Every morning I would wake up and think, oh, today I'm gonna do something that makes me feel better, and whatever I do, it just doesn't seem to do the trick. Luckily, I got over that period eventually, and I was starting to feel a little more positivity in my life.
Wow, that's the first time that anybody actually made some progress in this whole video, huh?
But even then, there were like kind of memories that I wanted to forget, or people that I really didn't want to miss. I tried to distract myself. I tried to play more music. I tried to learn more stuff, maybe more languages, but none of that really worked. And I would always catch myself thinking, how am I still not getting over this memory or this period of my life? Quite honestly, I'm still not quite over a lot of things that I want to be over. This is the point where the video goes from just ranting to actually trying to figure things out. I still struggle with this stuff, but here are the few things that I think might be helpful. It's not only for you, but it's also for myself. So the first trick to deal with this stuff for me is to lower my expectations. To be honest, sometimes even your realistic expectations have to go down a little bit in order for you to feel better. For example, I never really expected myself to become like a top-notch tennis player, but I expected myself to be a lot better in like 6 months. And when I'm not getting a lot better, I'm just super frustrated. But you know, the range of normal speed of improvement actually varies a ton. Sure, I started playing tennis when I was 9. That's a relatively early age for a lot of people. But there are people who have played tennis for like over 15 years and we're still on the same level. And it doesn't contradict the idea of always comparing yourself to somebody better in order to chase their level, because you can still work as hard as you want. Ambition and acceptance can exist at the same time. It's so much easier said than done, but you know, sometimes I just have to remind myself that. And the second thing that I do to help with this sometimes is to go even deeper and analyze the whole situation. For example, if you're learning a new language, even if you're using the most generally accepted method, it might not be for you. Maybe you can try to get to know yourself a little bit better and, analyze your strengths. Try a new method, even if it sounds like the weirdest thing ever. And maybe it still doesn't work, but for a while, maybe you will find it interesting and actually helpful. And when it becomes not interesting or helpful,
You can always go back to the first rule and lower your expectations.
this last thing to keep in mind is actually my favorite, which is to ask yourself, why did I start doing this from the first place? Whenever I successfully remind myself of this, I always get so much calmer. I don't know, in my case with tennis, I always remind myself that I love playing tennis, and even if I'm just gonna stay at this level forever, I'm still gonna keep playing, and it's such a fun sport. And whenever I start to obsess over a memory that I really want to go back to but can't, I just think about how fortunate I am to actually have had the experience that makes me miss it so much. That's when the bittersweet feeling finally hits. And I think it's beautiful. I wouldn't say like it's the best feeling ever, but it's pretty beautiful. Sure, life is all about striving to be the best version of yourself, but in order to do that, you actually have to be at peace with yourself first. So I'm glad that I realized this. And although I'm very much still struggling with making no progress and being frustrated, I think I get a better idea of how to handle it. That's it for today, and thanks for watching.